Men will now be charged with terrorism for misogyny.
Cooper, who is the Home Secretary, she is saying that extreme misogyny will be treated as terrorism for the first time under government plans to combat the radicalisation of young men online.
Men will now be charged with terrorism for misogyny. This is absolutely happening. This was sent over to me by a couple of people who wanted me to check this out, and Legion also covered it. So I was shocked when I saw the title, but it's absolutely true. It's happening in the UK. Men will be charged with actual terrorism now for misogyny. And don't forget that terrorism is essentially in the same league as treason. So you could potentially be Control-Alt-Deleted. Watch the end of the video to truly understand now why they are charging men with terrorism for misogyny and how this is going to affect both men and women going forward. And now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
A review of Britain's counter-terrorism strategy to urgently address gaps in the government's stance and to look at tackling violence against women and girls in the same way as Islamist and far-right extremism amid fears that current Home Office guidance is too narrow. Well, let's ask the opinion of Aisha Ali Khan. She's a human rights and women's rights campaigner. Aisha, thank you for joining me this afternoon. What do you make of this proposal from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary?
Right. So we've been talking about something like this for the last, 4 or 5 years now. And every time this kind of idea comes to the table and we discuss it, we get comments like the comment you just read out saying, violence against women and that kind of domestic abuse should not fall under the category of terrorism. And I think what we've definitely seen has been a massive increase in young people being radicalized online, especially young men. And these men have been, they're unhappy, they can't get a relationship, and they fall under the category of incels, which stands for involuntary celibate. Basically,
so these are young men who can't get a relationship. They are incels, involuntary celibates, as you say, and they hate women as a result of this, and they fall into whether they fall into or go there voluntarily, we can talk about in a second. But they're certainly very, very misogynistic and sometimes violently misogynistic.
Now, notice what they said. They said INCELs, and then they said another very important word. They said volcels. Basically, men who are voluntarily celibate. There's a very, very big distinction between the two. Okay? The INCLs are men who are basically saying that they're not able to get into a relationship. They're not able to find a woman who wants to be physically intimate with them. Men who are volcels are men who are just choosing to remain celibate. So men who are voluntarily celibate. They don't want to be physically intimate. They don't want to be in a relationship. That's a very, very big distinction. So notice what they're doing right now is they are lumping men who are not actively pursuing relationships with women, who are not actively trying to get into a relationship with a woman, who are not actively trying to be physically intimate with a woman, as a volcel, and basically categorizing them as the same as an IECEL. So the same people who said that men need to leave women alone, men need to not approach women that they don't know, men need to do this and this and this. Now they're coming after men who are saying, yeah, cool, man, we're going to play along. We don't want to go into, basic, and this is definitely an attack also on the MGTOWs. So it's literally men who are now saying that, just staying home and playing video games, avoiding relationships, dropping, just working just enough to survive and thrive and no more. And they're not interested in physical intimacy with women. They are now trying to say that these men are also a danger to society. And these are very serious charges, because if you are charged with terrorism, then because this is national security, then they basically will say that you are a national security risk. You will lose your passport, you will lose your rights to travel, you could lose your driver's license, you can lose things like access to basically that's if you ever come out of prison. Okay, because a charge like that can lead to you serving a lifetime in prison. So basically what they're trying to do is give these men lifetime prison sentences or Control-Alt-Delete them. This is a level of absolute insanity, guys. I read a comment on Legion's video that said that men are more hated than a cop in today's society. men are more hated than cockroaches. This is beyond crazy. They said so basically men who are not getting into relationships, men who are single, okay? Because basically that's what this is right now. It's an attack also not just on the INCELs, it's a greater attack on men who are single, men who are choosing to remain single, men who are choosing to walk away from everything. They're coming after these men. This is an absolutely insane thing. And then women are sitting around saying that this is wonderful. Finally, they'll now feel safe. This is crazy. Guys, you have to understand that there's nothing more hated in modern society than men, specifically heterosexual men. All right? I mean, if you look at how we are treated, the things that they say about us, I mean, this is guys, they are now going to arrest us for simply existing, and minding our business. This is it. They don't want us gathering. They do not want any male spaces out there. There should be no male spaces. Men should not be able to gather in large numbers anywhere, including in online spaces, playing video games. They don't want men playing video games together. They don't want men talking with one another. They don't want men even gathering together at their homes. They want to keep men divided in prison cells individually where they are constantly under 24-hour surveillance. But then at the same time, these men also need to go out and work and provide and protect. Does that make any sense whatsoever? But here's the great thing about this. This is how the Roman Empire fell. Because eventually, when you look at police officers, people who work, members of law enforcement, these are enforcers. And they're agents of the state, and it is their job to do the bidding of the state and uphold the will of the state. But if you look at the Roman Empire, what happened in the Roman Empire, it's pretty interesting.
That's very true. I mean, these are men who would love to have a relationship with women, and for some reason they can't, and then they end up blaming not just women, but not just a particular woman, but all women, and the rise of feminism and so on. So they feel very hard done by, very angry, very upset.
Guys, so when the Roman Empire, prior to the Roman Empire falling, I've talked about it a bunch of times. They had no military anymore. They had no military. And when I say military, I mean like they had guys. Policing in the empire had basically collapsed. When the barbarians destroyed the Roman Empire was already a shell of itself. So men basically stopped serving in the military. They stopped working as guards. They stopped doing the will of the emperor. The emperor had no one, and all of the Roman Empire's wealth, everything had gone towards subsidizing the lives of women, and men weren't producing anything else. So the very thing that they hated, and then they said were worse than all the single men were worse than all of the criminals, all of the Roman Empire, and they punished these men for being single and made them run in the streets for being single, and during the winter time, and they banned them from pub. This went on for hundreds of years. This went on for over 100 years. Banned from going to the Colosseum, banned from going to public events. Like they made the life of the average man horrible, absolutely horrible. And then all of the children that were being born were children of Chad and Tyrone. And then they banned no-fault divorce after it helped wreak havoc on society, but it was too late by then. And the emperor had no clothes. That's how the Roman Empire felt. So what they don't seem to understand is by doing this, little by little, even their enforcers, even men who would become their enforcers, are beginning to walk away. You're beginning to see a trait where a lot of people are turning away from becoming police officers. The military right now, guys, in the United States, the military is about to collapse. This was a report put before Congress by top military officials who said that we need a military draft right now, not for the urgency of going to war or fighting. No, we need a military draft right now because our military is about to break, because there are not enough people serving in the military. The military does more than defend the country. The military is there to help in cases of national emergency, cases, natural disasters, times when there are issues with infrastructure. If if there's turmoil, if for example, if there's an upsurgence in the U.S., the military would be sent in to control this. Okay, we don't have guys. We don't have a sufficient military to even to deal with if any public emergencies anymore. Our military reserves are only 1/10 of what they were 50 years ago, and it's shrinking by the day because a lot of these people are retiring very soon. A lot of the existing military personnel, they will be gone in the next 5 to 10 years because someone. Here's another thing: some idiot got the great idea to remove the benefits that military officers used to receive, where if you serve 20 years in the military, you would get you get a great lifetime retirement package. No, now they replaced it with like a small percentage in 401k. So that's gone now. So people have increasingly less incentive to go into the military and to serve in the military. And we're basically getting the worst. We're getting the worst of the worst in the military. Like when you're seeing interviews right now, where they're interviewing people going into the military and they're asking them why are you here, and basically their response is I had nowhere else to go, I had nowhere else to be, I had nothing else to do. Like that's I remember, I don't know what Airhead or something MC. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I haven't seen him in a while, but I forget if he was the one who said this. But one of these guys said when they joined the military, like the commanding officer said, you better not be here because this was your only option. Like, holy cow, you better not be here because this was your only option. Like, this was your last option. You better not be here because this was your last option. And they were absolutely there because this was their last option. Like, they absolutely know. And what we have right now is we have a military of people who don't even look like people who should be in the military, but they're basically they're taking the scraps right now. They're taking the absolute scraps right now. And the people there are not capable of serving in the military. A lot of these people in the military should not be in the military. All right. You have people who are very small, people who are not capable, people who are not very intelligent, and people who are just borderline overweight. And and these are the people that they have in the military. Like some Gen Zer sold national defense secrets, 24 years old, sold national defense secrets to China for 14 times for $3,000 a pop, a total of $42,000. I was shocked. I didn't even get it right. It was 14 times that he did it. So for $3,000 a pop, weed money. For weed money. He sold out national defense secrets to China for some damn weed money. What kind of nonsense is it? Guys, we're in so much trouble right now. We're in so much trouble. So what they don't understand is by doing this, by going after young men, because of the Tates, guess what? These guys are telling men that they need to be strong, they need to be stoic. Guys, they're thinking that they're going to keep on shoveling all of this garbage down the throats of young men, and this is going to create young men who are going to stand up for society. This is going to create young men that have the capacity to work long hours and to take care of a family and to sacrifice themselves because it's for the good of their country and women, and they need to find women whom they can serve and serve. This is crazy. It's absolutely insane. Why would any man do these things? That's not how, the social contract was broken also, where, if you give everything for the country, you'll be respected, you'll be given a wife, the kids, you'll have the American dream. It's all gone now. And they're coming after men for simply existing. Men are being arrested, thrown in jail for life. Guys, these are lifetime sentences. All right? They're being charged with the worst thing you can be charged with. That is the absolute worst thing that you can be charged with, because when you are charged with terrorism, they can control alt delete you. You get a lifetime sentence. You lose every single right that exists. I mean, there's almost nothing worse. There's very few things I can imagine being, because to be charged with terrorism is to be charged with treason. You can't. There's nothing higher than that charge. There is nothing higher than that charge. All right, they will just your life is over. This is what they're doing right now for men, guys. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. It doesn't surprise me, guys. It doesn't surprise me that the day was going to come where they were just gonna look for find any reason to come for us, to come get us, because they want to silence us and they want to take us out. And that's what these individuals are doing. This is so psychotic. This is so psychotic that this is happening. And it's so psychotic that this is happening. And of course, there's so little that we can do about this, other than just walk away. Just walk away. If we look over here on this video, this is a video that we watched. It says, "I'll be honest, she's more of a problem and danger to young children than Andrew Tate's," referring to the lady in the video. Let me see here. Access says, "If you want women's rights to worry," okay, so yeah. Carol says, "Keep your kids away from this woman." Jack says, Jacqueline, this is actually a woman, says, "A misandrist criticizing a misogynist, ridiculous." Yeah, it's right. Amar says, "Being men is considered terrorism now. So glad to be living in Saudi Arabia." Wow. Let's see here. Root says, "If misogyny is going to be classified as terrorism, is misandry going to be put at the same level?" Andrew says, "I'm married and thank God I am, because women these days are just not very nice." Sean says, "Andrew is not the problem here." Steve says, "Be nice if labor treated terrorism as terrorism, not mental health." M says, "You don't legislate human behavior." Daniela says, "The sad part is she's a teacher. I think teachers are a bigger danger than Andrew Tate." Roman says, "Why is misandry not treated as a hate crime?" Xander says, "Once again, let's not tackle the cause of young men feeling ostracized, but instead let's punish them for society's failures." Yeah. Precious says, "Misogyny to be treated as terrorism." Yeah, guys, it's obvious. Andy says, "I'm female and I listen to Tate. If you actually listen to what he says, he isn't misogynistic at all. Why aren't we tackling misandry, the hatred of men, the absolute attacks on the male of the species?" Yeah, guys, everyone sees it right now. They want to, this is it, guys. This is it. It's only going to get worse from here. Now it's out in the open where they can just come and snatch you up and take you out and take you down. All right? It's much hard. It's much hard for it to get worse than this. They'll find new ways. They'll find new ways to torture us. But yeah, guys, this is pretty much it. This is pretty much it, where they can come and do whatever they want to you, where they can come and take you, they can come and get you, and there's nothing that you can do. Simply being a man, by the virtue of being a man, that means that you're dangerous. By being a single man, by being a man who's not in a relationship or actively pursuing a relationship, that's also another cause for concern. What the living So basically, guys, if you're a man who's single, voluntarily single, and not being in a relationship, or not voluntarily and not looking for physical intimacy, you're a danger to women as well. This is crazy stuff. So just being a bachelor could wind you up in prison. This is something that the MGTOW said many years ago was going to happen. They said they were going to come for us. They were going to come for single men. And back then, it sounded like absolute lunacy. It sounded like a crackpot. It sounded like a crackpot theory. Fast forward to 2024, and you will be charged with terrorism if you are a single man just minding your business, choosing to just be alone. You don't have any anger towards anyone. You're just minding your business, staying at home, playing video games, leaving society alone. That's enough of a reason to be charged and thrown in prison for the rest of your life, have every single right taken away from you, your human rights stripped away from you, and potentially being controlled, all deleted, just for being a single man. just for being a single man. This is the world we now live in. Guys, the consequences of this are quite simple. Men continuing to avoid society relationships and drop out of society. Okay? This is the men, more men walking away, or a lot of men just going MGTOW and separating themselves from relationships and society out of fear. Boys living in fear because they're going to be pushing this in schools. So, I mean, what more do you want from these young men? Oh, do not listen to Andrew, and you better be a good man, and you need to learn how to sacrifice yourself. Sacrifice. How do you tell an 8-year-old boy that he needs to sacrifice himself for his country and for women in the country? Like, this is madness. And like, oh, and you better be, and you do not gather among yourself. Like, if you're gathering with other men, that's a very serious problem. If too many of you boys are gathering, there should be no male dominated spaces, so including virtual spaces. Imagine pushing this stuff onto boys. Like, it's hard enough as an adult having this crap pushed onto you, but imagine the extremely horrible effects this is going to have on boys psychologically. This is only going to result in heavier amounts of isolation and men and living in fear that at some point they're going to come to get you. All right? Imagine being sitting in your room as a boy and hiding yourself away from society and being told that they will punish you for being single, for hiding yourself. They'll punish you for not being single, and they'll punish you for being single. You'll basically be punished for just existing and then told that you're crazy for thinking anything otherwise because you're privileged. This is torture. This is extreme torture. And guys, most women, no matter how much horrible things like this happen to men in society, women will continue to say, "We don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe." If they did, any guys, women could never live through the living nightmare that men are going through right now. Men and boys are going through. They absolutely could not. This is absolutely devastating, and this is only going to push more men away from society and leave more women single and childless. And women in the end are going to really feel the hardships of this because the state cannot subsidize them forever. The state is broke, and if men are not producing, there's literally nothing. There is absolutely nothing. Women are going to find themselves with increasing levels of poverty, destitution, homelessness, living in shelters, and their cars in the woods. And they're going to say, "How is this happening?" And they're going to. And the crazy thing is, they're going to blame the men. They're going to blame the men for all of this. The government's going to blame the men. So when women start struggling, when women basically start facing increasing numbers of hardships, what are they going to do? Oh, it's the fault of men. We need to find other ways to put restrictions on men. Oh, men have money in their bank accounts. The men stole this money. It doesn't matter if the men worked for it or not. We need to confiscate the money from the men and give it to the women. And the state will be the ones that do that. So the state will take its cut and then it'll give its cut to women. And women will start to say, yeah, it's obvious that this is just another form of patriarchy. How dare these men have large amounts of money that they've saved in their bank accounts? All right, we need to take that money. We need to take the money. We need to take any property that these men have. We need to take this and we need to confiscate it from him. And then somehow they don't seem to understand that this will just result in more men living even further below their means. So now you're going to have guys who won't keep really any money in the bank. They'll keep crypto. They'll do what the Japanese do. They'll keep gold and silver and cash at home and in safety deposit boxes. They'll begin pulling their money out of the banks. They'll begin finding and basically they'll go, and if it gets bad enough, they'll just do what men have always done, and they will basically learn different skills, create value, and enter into the bartering market where they'll begin trading skills and things, whatever they need to, for different things that they want. So men will just begin to completely walk away from the monetary system and disappear from society even further. Like right now, you have women who are saying, like, "Where are all the men? What do men not go shopping anymore? Do men not shop at the supermarkets anymore?" Like, this is where we're going. We're going to end up in a reality where men won't even shop at the supermarkets. All right, men will start doing their shopping, like shopping at farmer markets and so forth, trading skills, trading whatever they need to. Basically using bartering. Men will go off grid. men will pull away from society and reality, and they'll basically and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and eventually, you'll just have the men who do continue to participate as enforcers in society. You know how? Because for example, if you look at what happened in a lot of states, during the events of 2020, the view of police officers is so bad, and members of law enforcement, that many of them have started to just drop out and leave the field entirely. Because if you're a police officer, you worked in law enforcement, the way society views you is quite bad. It's increasingly bad. Like, oh, so you're one of those people. Like, we don't want you in our community. All right, enjoy that job. We hope it was worth it. We hope it was worth it. Like, the doors will be slammed. No one wants to see you. No one wants to speak to you. It's like, was it worth it? So over time, you're just going to have an increasing number of men and women who are basically avoiding these fields, and then the people who are left are just going to be the worst of the worst, the absolute worst of the worst. And society is going to have to, it's like the state has, guys, if the state does not have agents to do its bidding, the state has no power. If the state cannot find men and women, specifically men, to do its bidding and to enforce its will, it has no power. I mean, outside of autonomous drones, and using the media to, keep us in a state of fear and panic, unless it has enforcers to go out there and do its bidding, it has no power. And many of its enforcers are walking away. Gen Z is not a great generation. Gen Z, most of them are broken. They don't want to do anything. You can't give them any real responsibility. And the thing is, like, the state cannot, if the state does not have people who that it can trust and actually use effectively, then, I mean, look at what this Gen Zer did, 24 years old, still selling national defense secrets. The state's screwed. Men of value and virtue are gone. So it's basically, and it's falling apart rapidly. It 100% is. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. And also, subscribe to the Angry Guy Clips channel, where we post shorter videos and video responses, and also to the Angry Guy live channel, where we live stream. Both channels are linked in the description. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Men will now be charged with domestic terrorism for misogyny. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.